Yeah, actually, I was just about to remind people, yeah, like in the room or online, just close your eyes or keep them open and bring attention back to noticing what's here for you. The sounds, energies in the body, thoughts.
And this doesn't mean too that it has to become rigid. There's a tendency when we first hear about this, now I must be rigid. I will now be rigid and I'm here. No, this is just awareness, which is very light, very ethereal, very beautiful. It's an awareness. I can be doing this. I can be doing anything, and yet there can still be a presence, an awareness. A distraction can happen. I don't have to. My awareness does not have to go to the distraction if someone came in the room or something noise happened. Consciousness can stay at home while at the same time sending awareness or attention on an errand, you might say, to whatever's happening in our body and our mind. But what happens is right away when something happens, our awareness goes to the thing. It leaves the house and it tries to perform the errand for itself that just simple attention could perform. And so we're like a flashlight. The light goes out, shines on something. It can be a thought, it can be an emotion, it can be a person, it can be a house. The light of awareness shines on an object in the inner or outer world. And what happens is, think of this, think of the flashlight forgets itself. It forgets it's emitting this light of awareness. And now it attaches itself by means of its own awareness to the object. And then it identifies completely with what it has attached to, and it actually it now derives identity in, or it attributes identity to the object. And this is what's happening to us all the time in little and big ways in the second state of consciousness. And it's what the fourth way calls identification. In the East, it was called attachment. Typically, that's what you find in the literature. But the fourth way goes a little farther, more specific. It's like you are this awareness, you perceive things, you start to attach to it. And then once attachment happens, now you're identified, you're immersed in it. A thought, a feeling, a task, things like I mentioned earlier. And so I introduced this idea of identification because it is a chief characteristic of what happens to us in the second state. It is what the second state comprises, really, is this atmosphere, you might say. It is an atmosphere of identification, small and large, repeatedly throughout the day. When we identify less, what happens is suddenly we realize we're in the room again. We suddenly realize that was just a thought. That was just an emotion. That was just a sensation. That's just a person. That's just an event. It's not the awareness, the consciousness of those things. And this is when we come back to the surface of the ocean. Mihai?
Yes. I will slow it down a little bit, Peter, and go back just for a moment. Also, we're already using some terms here that are used by everybody, and it's very important to define terms so we all understand the same thing. Let's say already we use these terms, being in imagination about something, in imagination. So usually imagination in a usual language is a good thing. Oh, it's so imaginative. The child has a strong imagination. Yeah. In the fourth way, when we use the word imagination, it's a particular term. It's a fourth way term. So imagination, and we are going to talk other times about this. Imagination is a term which refers to this state of being where consciousness is, or us, we are kind of half asleep and lost in daydreaming. So imagination, the fourth way, is some type of form of daydreaming, where there's this torpor and there is constant thoughts, a past or future commentary, like endless, like a radio somehow, which is like in the Sufis, there will be like a veil. The face of the beloved is covered by the veil of imaginings. So actually you see people on the street, or you notice yourself, is this all the time voices and memories and concerns, and like either, ranging from what I'm going to do in the future, or how did I say the right thing? Was it okay? They didn't like me. I don't think they like me. I think I'm fat, or I think I'm skinny. I'm too skinny, or I'm too fat, or I don't know, it's never going to amount to anything. And, it can range from just pleasant daydreaming, but not consciously being here, to some very tortured washing machine of endless voices of nasty self-pity, self-deprecation, self-hatred, judging. Yeah, so that's what we refer to as imagination. It's like uncontrolled, unnecessary mind activity, uncontrolled, unnecessary mind activity with which consciousness is getting identified with. Now, this doesn't mean that it's thinking can be very useful. It's not about not thinking. And actually, creative imagination and all of that, this is fine. But imagination is this uncontrolled, unnecessary mind activity which covers the present awareness. And when we use the term also be in imagination about something, it's like we are just dreaming about it. So just dreaming about it. It's dreamings. I want to define also the term consciousness, actually. Consciousness or awareness or presence, I use them interchangeably, the same thing, and refers to that, whatever it is, which is real and is aware of these words right now. So consciousness is that, whatever it is, we don't know how it is, what it is, but it's real, and it's perceiving the image of Mihai, it's perceiving sounds, it's perceiving sensations. I have energy in my chest, perceiving energies in my chest, perceiving thoughts. And kind of sometimes you'll catch yourself thinking about some other time and you're like, come back. It's consciousness, awareness is that which realized that it was lost and comes back. So that's what we mean by consciousness, awareness. Also, we use this word here, remembering to be, or remembering to be conscious, or as we go later in other modules, we'll talk about self-remembering. This remembering usually may be associated with intellectual remembering, like, oh yeah, what was the number that I had when I was a kid in Romania? Oh yeah, 411, 415, yeah. So that's not what we mean by remembering. It's more like a coming to, or becoming more aware. Remembering, it's not an intellectual remembering, it's some kind of being pulsating at a higher frequency, so to say, and it's becoming more conscious. I want to just rehash very little around the four states. So, because when we talk about also sleep and awakening, we are talking about consciousness, which is that which is aware right now. And there is that which is aware right now. Everybody has that. Everybody has this which is aware right now. Whether you are aware of it or not, like this, you see? Something is aware of this. Whether you think about it, you want it or not, something is aware. So that is awareness. So, but this awareness can be in different settings. The first state is that it's in the setting which is necessary because we need to restore the biocomputer, we need to rest. Yeah. The first setting is this, that it's like totally unaware of itself, unaware of the environment, and it's deep sleep, REM sleep. Yeah. So, and as you know, as you sleep, so it's like a level where it's like, it's not really off. It can never be off, but it's a level of that it doesn't perceive external things, and the mind, the emotions, the things are not connected. However, there's a strong enough stimulus. If we are sleeping and there's strong enough stimulus, like a bang or a sound or a smell, God arranged in us that we activate, for survival. In the fourth way, we don't focus too much on the fourth state, from the first state. We don't do necessarily big work or working on ourselves in the first state, although I know that they are paths and teachings where you are doing around your dreaming and remembering about the dreams, or having lucid dreaming and doing all kind of spiritual development while being in the first state. I honor that. I think there's usefulness to that. Jung talked about that, but we are not dealing necessarily at this point with doing inner work in the first state. But what's interesting to realize that even in dreams, we dream and then we come back to waking up in the morning. We remember our dreams. We remember some of our dreams and like, oh, there was this, I remember this or that. So this means that consciousness was aware of dreaming. Otherwise, we wouldn't remember it. Although in the moment, it felt like, the consciousness was dreaming and there was a me, Mihai, as a character in the dream. Okay, the second state is when we wake up here, and very soon after this, we are going to give some questions. Yeah, so we'll allocate time for questions. Second state is the normal state, the so-called waking state, that we think that this is it. And 99% of population is in this state, and they think that's normal and they thought that's maximum. Yeah. So in this state, we have more options, obviously. We can avoid the car running over, and we can actually make money, or we can make bombs and be very precise where we drop them, or we can be nice to our kids, be loving. And so we are aware of the external world, but still it pulsates at a certain low level of self-awareness, in a way that the characteristic is that it's often in the second state of consciousness, often we are in imagination. It's almost all the time. You brush your teeth, coming here, driving, even here as you are listening to me, going to the bathroom. All the time there's this, there's like not really there. And then some stimulus comes and like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, oh, there's a phone. Another characteristic of the second state is that basically consciousness is unaware of itself, doesn't know itself. We don't know what we are, we take it for granted, and it's like, as Peter said, we are lost in it. We are lost in something, in the story, in the self-pity, in the phone these days. The phone, like, in the past, you could see people in a train or in a bus, like there's like not there. Now you don't have this anymore because people are like in this. In the second state, yeah, so consciousness is not aware. We don't know what we are. We think we are Joe. In the second state, we think I'm Joe. I'm Mihai, I'm Peter, I am the body. We don't even think about that, but it feels like I'm the body, I'm the mind, I am every thought, I am every feeling. Whenever I'm triggered, it's like me. I am sad, I am afraid, I this, they don't like me. We actually, in the second state, we don't know what this me is, or we imagine that this me is the mind and the body. And constantly the energy in the second state, the energy given from nature and God, which is designed for not just survival, but for development of consciousness, is totally misused and lost in this daydreaming, lost in negative emotions, unpleasant emotions, resisting emotions, trying to get approval, trying to be liked, trying to be recognized, trying to be safe, trying to control our reality. And then we don't like it, we're upset because we can't control reality, and then people should be in, it's the usual pain body suffering normal state in which humanity is, which is very low state, where a characteristic of that is that we feel we are separate. We feel we are separate, autonomous thing, separate from other people, separate from the planet, separate from God, separate from the universe. We are separate thing. And that's why we can kill and torture and starve the planet and our brothers and sisters. And so the proof is that what you see on TV and what's always been on this planet is that's why it is so here, because of everybody is almost all the time in the second state. And the second state ranges from like a serial killer, heartless, reptile, no conscience, to a very brilliant statesman who makes helps humanity and is also painting or writing great books and developing psychological theories, or being a very famous, helpful psychologist. So the second state ranges. A lot of the psychology, I'm in this trade. That's why Ouspensky said psychology, the system is the psychology of man's possible evolution. The usual psychology, I would say 99% of it is the psychology of the psychologist asleep in the second state, helping the client in the second state to get a little bit, have a better life, Okay, the third state, let's go to the fourth state actually. The fourth state is when we hear about Buddha and I don't know, Jesus, or we hear about this like enlightenment, deep realization and bliss. And so actually that is the fourth state. Gurdjieff didn't even want to talk about that. He would say that state, the fourth state, is we are not only aware of ourselves and everything about ourselves, and we are aware of what this self is, but it's also aware about all that is and the laws of the universe. And that's called objective consciousness or universal consciousness. That's what the fourth state is. And a lot of high teachings, high literature that we are inspired by is from people that were living there. But as Peter said, there is not much information about the third state somehow. So then we are in this state of sleep, trying to get to that 2 levels up. It's not going to work. So The missing link is this third state, where we are the characteristic of the third state. And also this has degrees too, as Peter said. It's like degrees. All of these states are not like they are degrees. Although, you know, sometimes an accident or some shocking event or something very beautiful or unexpected or devastating or painful can jolt our consciousness into a higher state without effort. You know, usually amazing, beautiful moments, soul-crushing moments, beauty or accidents can actually propel us to a third state, even fourth state for a little bit. And we all experience that. But the third state, what we are trying to do here is to have a reliable method and reliable way to get to the higher levels of the second state towards the third state. So the third state will be that we are aware of thoughts, we are aware of feelings, but we are not lost in them. They are still thoughts. We have thoughts. Thoughts are not bad. Thoughts are useful. So we are aware of thoughts, but we know I'm not the thought. And I'm not sucked in the thoughts all the time. There's emotions. There can be sadness, grief, shame, rage, hatred. And we are aware of them, but we are not sucked in them. In the third state, we know what drives us. We know our patterns. You know, I have this lying to get something, trying to look good, this vanity, trying to get recognition, trying people to know that I am the shit. We are aware of these mechanical, unconscious patterns. We are not a saint. We are aware of our lies and contradictions, and we are aware of our psychological world. However, there is already some recognition somehow. This awareness realizes that, whoa, if I'm not the thought, I'm not the feeling. Anyway, there's some recognition of being this presence as opposed to being a thought. This usually it grows in a way that in the fourth way they say that this deepening of awareness goes with some parameters of frequency. First of all, we are all the time asleep, and then we have a little like you turn on this light in the basement for a moment, and then on and off, on and off, on and off. So we have a little bit of higher state of being, more awake, and then go asleep. A little bit more awake, more sleep. But if we persist, and if we are genuinely interested, then we have more longer duration, and we have longer and longer times, less in the second state. And then this keeps going, it deepens.